Danny West from hogsports.com, part of the 24/7 Sports Network, good friend of the show, joining us here on Halftime on a Thursday. And Danny, I know you got a crazy schedule going on, man, and a lot of prospects coming in to visit potentially, so appreciate you making time for us. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Phil. I appreciate you working around my schedule this week again. It has been busy on my end, a lot of recruiting and transfer portal action going on. So, yeah, it's that time of year, and I guess that's the new norm now. We're gonna keep seeing the month of January continue to be super busy, especially with the transfer portal now. So, yeah, I appreciate you.
Well, and the portal, I saw Trey's piece on Hog Sports that you need to get online and get a look at. It's worth your subscription. Trying to make the point that the transfer portal has been and probably will be a net positive for Arkansas football moving forward because, you're going to hate seeing, and this won't happen every year, but you hate seeing, 4-year players like Brooks and Fouché go to play for a hated rival like LSU. But look at some of the players that already have committed to Arkansas that you would have never had a chance coming out of high school. Jackson, Hasselwood, Sanders. So right now, it's a net positive for Arkansas. Do you think that will be the case moving forward?
You would like to think so. I mean, I remember 2 weeks ago, it just seemed like everybody was down in the dumps, the program, the sky is falling, just cancel the program, everything's going downhill. And suddenly you look up and they brought in 5, 4 of which who were considered by and large some of the top targets in the transfer portal throughout college football. I mean, Drew Sanders could have gone anywhere in the country. Same deal for Jaden Hazelwood and Landon Jackson, Dwight McGlothern. I'm not sure it's so much the case for the quarterback, the walk-on addition, Cade Fortin. But, he's a quality guy. He adds some depth to the quarterback room, and they needed that. So 5 really good ones, and really what did you lose? A couple of guys that started on defense. For, the last 2 or 3 years, yeah, they were quality SEC players. You knew what you were getting with them. But, I think if you could make a trade for, let's just think about those 2 position groups in particular. If you can trade Joe Fouché and Greg Brooks for potentially a duo of Dwight McGlothern and this Latavius Brenny, the latest guy from Georgia who was up here earlier this week for a visit, I think you make that trade all day. No disrespect to Joe or Greg. They were fine players here. But that's a trade you make all day, and then you throw on top of that Drew Sanders, Landon Jackson, absolutely. So Trey makes a good point. I'm not sure it's always going to be that way. At some point, sure, you're probably going to lose more than you take in, but we've yet to see that. So far, they have been on the net positive side of it.
So I know Brini, the Georgia safety, he started 11 games for the national champions, and so much of the focus on that Georgia team was on the front 7. The secondary was just fine as well. It sounds like Arkansas's got a pretty good shot at him, doesn't it?
I think they've got a really good shot at him. And as soon as he went into the portal, I said, man, that might be one that they take a really strong look at. And, it was kind of secretive. I think they wanted to keep it on the down low that he was up here. To be honest with you, there's a lot of competition for this kid. I say kid, shoot, he's a grown man. He's been in college for 5 years, but 6'2", 210, somewhere in that range, really big, can play a lot of different positions in the back end, brings obviously leadership and a certain swag about him. He just won a national championship. Of course, he's a winner, right? So you said it there. He started 11 games for one of the best defenses we've ever seen in college football. So absolutely you would take him. I like him at the nickel spot, to be honest with you. I think he's a guy that could come in and help fill the void there. That's kind of been left by Brooks a little bit. Of course, Jaden Johnson stepped up throughout the course of the year, a true freshman, and obviously a valuable piece going into next year. But, man, if you can add this guy to go along with Slusher and Catalan back there, that's a really good-looking group on paper, in my opinion. So I think he is going to take a couple of more visits. Of course, he's kind of working against the clock a little bit. I think Texas is in the mix, Mississippi State. There's a couple of others that I know. Florida's probably on him pretty good from what I understand. So we should know relatively soon. I think this is a guy who's going to want to make a decision and get in here or his next destination, wherever it might be, to go through spring drills and get it going.
To the more traditional aspects of recruiting and what for up until, I don't know, the last decade, when you brought somebody to campus, they're a high school recruit. And one of the biggest news this week for a defensive tackle out of Mansfield, Texas, Caleb James. How big of an impact do you think he'll have, when he steps onto campus here in 2 years? And, I know that's a lot to ask of you to kind of project how somebody's going to be in 2 seasons. So,
yeah, no, that's fine. I think in 2 years he's probably going to be quite a bit bigger, to be honest with you, Drew. I mean, he's 6'4", 250 already, but when you look at him, you see a frame that could probably put on another 20, 25 pounds pretty quickly, especially once he gets into Jamil Walker's weight room up there. So a really good get. I think it's a high potential get. I'm not sure he jumps in right away and starts or anything for you, but definitely has huge upside. He's versatile. He's played a lot of different spots across the defensive front down there. He actually just transferred over from Nolan Catholic there in Fort Worth, and now he's at Mansfield, Texas. So really strong program in Mansfield. They've got another kid, B.J. Jordan. He's the safety, a 4-star kid down there who's been up here a few times now, and I think he's going to be back again, I think this weekend, guys. So that's one to keep an eye on right there. If you could double up in Mansfield, Texas, and start some positive momentum in that pipeline, I think that would really be nice for you.
Yeah, Mansfield it's a known place in Texas that produces a lot of talent. And with the addition of him and kind of your projections going forward with what Sam Pittman and now that Kendall Briles is 100% all in, even though we all kind of thought the whole time that the Miami rumor and that was a possibility of him going was very less than factual because, everybody that kind of looks at it thinks that Arkansas is a better job right now than Miami. Where do you think some of these recruiting classes in the future could pan out? I mean, are we possibly 2-3 years away from Arkansas possibly having a top 10, top 5 recruiting class?
Potentially, but this current class is just phenomenal, in my opinion. I think it's got a chance to be top 15. Obviously, the highest-rated class they've ever had at Arkansas was 18th. That was way back in 2004. And I've said for several months that this 2023 group is shaping up to beat that record. I really think so. So, top 10, top 5, boy, that'd be really tough. But let's start with top 15. I think this one's got a shot, and the 24 group next year, just based on early returns, as they say, a lot of big-time visitors. I'm talking 4- and 5-star types that I've never seen take trips to Arkansas this early in the process. It's one after another. So I've been really impressed by that. I would venture to say this one's probably going to end up being the highest-rated one, but don't hold me to it. You guys know how this stuff can change on the dime.
Danny, I saw on your defensive Big Red board at Hog Sports, they're out on the trail of a lot of really highly touted defensive ends. And you use the term warm or hot to develop, some of what the interest is both ways there. So, you talk Sam Pittman's going to be a coach that wants to control the line of scrimmage. It seems he's certainly recruited to that on the offensive line. And when I read your Big Red board, it looks like, hopefully things go in the direction they want, and they'll have that on the defensive line too.
Yeah, getting Caleb James was a solid start, but as you said there's so many more, 4-star types. Trey Wilson, a kid out of Lakeview Centennial down in Texas, Garland, Texas, 6'3", 230. I've got him at hot right now. I think he's been here a few times. Unfortunately for Trey, I do want to mention he lost his grandmother, or he would have been back here again last week. So he's working on a rescheduled visit there. By Joby, a 4-star kid out of Norman, Oklahoma. I forget his high school, something Christian, so forgive me on that. But Chandavian Bradley out of Platte City, Missouri, another 4-star. Ashton Porter was just up here last week out of Cypress Cy Ranch down in Texas, 4-star kid, 6'3", 240. A.J. Hoffler's another kid out of Georgia, 4-star. He's talking about setting up a trip here. So it's one after another. I've been really impressed. That's the one question that I've seen a lot from fans. They've been really pleased with this staff's ability to recruit, but the defensive front has been a little bit behind other position groups, okay? And I think that's a fair statement. But now we're seeing it start to turn a little bit, and that's huge. I've said it all along. If Sam Pittman can ever get the type of defensive and offensive lineman that it's going to take, man, this thing could really take off. I feel confident when you've got a guy like Kendall Browse and Barry Odom coordinating both sides of it. You're set there. They've got some really good coaches on each side, but it comes down to the line of scrimmage in this league. And I've often been curious to see what type of caliber they're going to end up with. And so far, so good. I think they've got a chance to maintain this and really build on it.
And they're working on that line of scrimmage, working on getting the big guys in the trenches. I mean, just earlier today, less than an hour ago, kid from Wakeland High School in Frisco, Texas, Connor Stroh, I'm guessing is how you pronounce his name, for star offensive tackle. Obviously going to be very highly recruited. What can you kind of tell me about him?
Well, I worry about his size. You know, he's 6'7", 345. I'm not sure that's going to be big enough for Pittman. You know, just joking there, guys. 6'7", 345. He's a giant of a man. He showed up last week, and boy, he's huge. So yet another big guy on that offensive line. I think they're going to have a really good shot at him. He's still in Arkansas right now. I don't want to speak for the kid, but I would go out on a limb and say Arkansas might be way up there for him. So they'll probably get him back again, and he's definitely one to keep an eye on. But you mentioned him there, Connor Stroh out of Frisco, Texas, Wakeland High School, 6'7", 345. If you like the big offensive lineman, he's one to keep an eye on. Yeah, he's plenty big.
That's one of the things I noticed about Drew Sanders. He's tall. 6'5". Haven't had a linebacker of that size at Arkansas, at least of that height, in a really long time. Like, we loved Grant and Hayden, but they were both sub 6 foot. So, I mean, Sanders, 5-star guy, has got the build of it. I mean, it's got to help, right? That's that height.
Yeah, you would think so. I'm trying to think of the last one who might have been 6'5", probably early 2000s.
I look back, Jamario Bell, they had him listed as a linebacker. I know he went up to the line
he
of
played
scrimmage
everything.
too.
That's right.
Yeah, he was all over.
Yeah, I'm not sure how big. Quentin Caver may have been up there. He was around 6'4", 6'5". How tall was Jermaine Petty? Anybody remember? He always seemed really tall to me. But anyway, to answer your question, it has been it's been a long time. As a matter of fact, when his name first popped up and Arkansas was in the mix for Drew, a lot of people said, hey, he might be a defensive end more than a linebacker. But after doing some checking, you know, he is, in fact, being recruited, or was, in fact, being recruited to play linebacker, which is obviously a huge position of need, and just, you know, phenomenal that they were able to get him.
Hey, last thing, and I know this isn't a sport that you cover usually, certainly when it comes to recruiting, but I saw where Arkansas baseball has a commit from an 8th grader. I think he's the first commit for the 2026 class. It's absolutely true. I saw it in the newspaper. So, I mean, when you see that, obviously nobody is getting a commit from an 8th grader for college football, but it's just the differences between someone who's in 8th grade and someone who's in 12th grade is mentally, emotionally, physically. I don't know how you do that.
I wouldn't even know how to interview him. You know, like, what do you talk about? I mean, I get it, especially in baseball. You've got to get on them so early nowadays, and obviously Dave Van Horn does a great job of that. But that gun, boy, that's pretty young, and I don't always feel comfortable making a phone call like that. Matter of fact, I don't think I ever have. Ty Story might have been the youngest one I ever interviewed, and he was 9th grade at the time. He came to camp, and everybody just kind of knew this kid's going to be something. I would say Kane Archer. He's in the 2026 class, and another quarterback from the similar area, you know, down in Greenwood. He's definitely on the radar and probably going to get an interview here pretty soon.
Okay. Well, let's leave it there. Appreciate you, Danny, as always. We'll figure out the right time to do it again. Thanks.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all.
Appreciate it, Danny.
You got it. You know you got a good reaction from Danny West when he gives you a dad gum. We got a dad gum.
Yeah, we did.
Feel pretty good about that. You can feel really good about a new career, though, if you're looking to become an EMT or a paramedic, and you can get your training and have 0 debt for these degrees if you are helped by Baxter Regional Medical Center. They can help you become an EMT in just one semester. It'll take 3 to 4 semesters to become a paramedic. And yes, you can get that certification or degree with zero student loan debt. So if you're looking for more than just a job, Baxter Regional has the opportunity now. Just call 870-508-1883. That's 870-508-1883. Or you can log on to baxterregional.org for all the information on available positions. We're going to wrap halftime up with a cherry on the top right after this. Stay with us.
BetOnline would like to wish you a happy new betting year as we continue our march to the playoffs and beyond. BetOnline remains the #1 spot for all the best sports wagering action for 2022. New year and a new updated desktop and mobile wagering to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BELIEVE to get started. That's BLEAV. From football, basketball, hockey, boxing, and UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for 2022. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts.